Hello and welcome to our fourth Bloom or Bust event. I'm Suzanne Currid from The Loop. I'll be moderating today's event and I'm joined now by today's speaker, Dann from Consultation Limited, who's presenting today's topic, how to get a wow from new clients with improved emotional intelligence. Hello Jill, how are you?
Hello, welcome everybody.
I believe you're down in sunny Portsmouth today, working from your lovely home office. What's the view like outside?
It's absolutely gorgeous, yeah. There's some lovely sun and I'm looking at all the birds feeding off the bird table and all the other wildlife, squirrels, etc. So it's very pleasant indeed.
Oh, the joys of web conferencing where we can run events from absolutely anywhere. It's such a delight. And we're here in Elephant and Castle in South London. So if you happen to hear any sirens passing by, that's just the local ambience. But hopefully it won't interfere with your pleasure of listening to us today. Anyway, to cut to the chase, just a bit more about today's event. If we don't make a conscious decision to look at how we relate to new customers and clients, we may well lose out on a chance to build our business to more successful levels. Emotional intelligence or people skills can be improved with education, so our aim today is to help you better understand your business relationship dynamics and how, with structured self-reflection, you can start to get a wow from new and not so new clients. Finally, a few quick words from Bloom or Bust. Bloom or Bust is an experimental online event series that was initiated at a business networking lunch back in June this year. The group's individual members separately offer strategic advice, services to UK businesses, both large and small. Our group expertise covers finance, change management, sales and marketing and HR. During the series, each of us will present topics that relate to our expertise. And we also use this series to experiment with new web conferencing technology. As you will see today, we're trying out Citrix GoToWebinar. To find out more about our members, please visit the team section of our website at bloomorbust.wordpress.com. And between events, we continue to blog and have discussions online, and we're delighted to have your involvement there too. So without further ado, I think we're just about ready to get started with today's event. I'm just going to click through the slides now and we're going to present Jill. So over to you, Jill, if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I've basically had two careers. One was in the Royal Navy, being involved in information technology in its early stages in this country, and working with other NATO countries, which was very educational for me as a young woman in my late teens and early 20s. I was often amongst people twice my age, and I was considered to be the IT expert, so that was an interesting experience. And then I had another career really as a self-employed person, Director of Consultation Limited, and in the last 15 years been mostly focusing on coaching, mentoring and designing programs for clients and interventions to improve their performance. If we can move on to the next slide. The reasons I got interested in doing this kind of work in terms of emotional intelligence is that I recognised working on those major equipment programs in the Royal Navy that it was not the technology so much that was the biggest challenge, but the warm bodies, especially in a multicultural environment. And I recognised that it was not our IQ that we really needed to work on and develop. You can't really develop it much beyond age 11 anyway. It was actually our emotional intelligence, our interpersonal and intrapersonal skills, our EQ, if you like. And I really discovered EI in terms of business applications when I was working on the first of a number of bank launches that I've been involved with about 13 years ago. And it was part of the brand promise for this particular bank to improve customer relations as part of the whole economics of creating sustainable, profitable relationships. And that interest sparked an internal development program in my company, and I got invited to work with the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development and the Chartered Management Institute, which then led to some public programs, in-company programs, and publication of 4 books through Hodder and the group of publishers in the Hodder group. I fortunately got to work abroad in very multicultural situations. In Barbados I was working with 25 different Caribbean islands, 15 sort of notional territories, and I got called out to Germany, Australia and New Zealand on enrichment programs for MBA students and working with internal company universities, tackling international sales teams problems and things like that. And that's resulted in demand for my books being translated. So it's really quite exciting as a micro business in this country to think about the number of people who've at least read about my work and thought about the application in their lives. So picking up on that, the session today is really for individuals who want to do better in terms of their impact with new and existing clients. So we're looking to design and encourage introspection resulting in discoveries and insights that you can easily and readily apply. We can go on to the next slide now, please. So just in summary, we're going to look at what is emotional intelligence and just introduce the subject briefly, but mainly focusing on why it should be important to you in your daily life. Just setting it in context in the scope of human communications, we're going to use an analogy for that full scope, which we'll look at in some detail, and then touch on buying behaviour, you know, understanding what customers buy and particularly why they buy. Then we need to think about what we know about great salespeople in order to model that success, picking up on who has inspired you and what you can do with that information about yourself. Then we take away those lessons, encourage personal introspection, self-observation in order to enhance that self-awareness and thereby self-management directly applicable to your relationships with new and existing clients. And then in order to consolidate that and focus attention, I'm giving you a format and some guidance on a personal development plan, hopefully which you can translate into your BlackBerry or laptop or a notebook, whatever media works for you in your working life, so that you can focus on single items during your working week and gradually see your progress and measure your progress. I'm also going to encourage you to work with a colleague and help develop each other so that you also get a source of independent feedback. I've found that's worked really well with all my clients. So if we move on to the next slide, then what is emotional intelligence? I think we can all see that emotions are contagious. Somebody's energy and enthusiasm and passion for things we can pick up on. We get energized ourselves by that. And equally, if somebody is despondent, that can rub off on us. And that's basically how we are designed as human beings. We're very, very efficient at communicating in all sorts of ways. And the words sometimes do get in the way, and we're going to look at that in some subsequent slides. But we are wired to pick up very subtle clues from one another, and we do that as part of our nature as a human being and survival. But really, why we're interested in this is that people buy from people. Successful customer relationships seem to depend on our being aware of how we feel and how we behave, and how we use that self-awareness and self-management to be aware of how others feel and behave in our presence, and in the sales context, so that we can influence those others to our mutual success. So in this first webinar, we're going to look at how we can use these skills as a real tool set, like a bag of golf clubs, managing our behaviour, using different tools for different kinds of territories and challenges, hopefully to make that best first impression with potential on new clients so that you can build really excellent customer relationships. And then we can look at perhaps other building blocks on other occasions in more detail, so that we can relate it to that customer relationship success. Next slide please, Suzanne. Now there are some important economics around customer relationships, and most businesses collect information about this. Sometimes it is the people factor rather than the product that stalls a business relationship from the start. Now, I first came across the harsh realities of customer economics in 1998 when I was working on my first bank launch, and I was given access to a McKinsey study and also the customer relationship marketing business unit's business case information on the economics of customer relationships. And that had been played back to me. That has been played back to me many times in the last 13 or so years by other corporations. Essentially, there are costs to setting up and acquiring customers, and to setting up systems that are very sophisticated in order to capture information to lead and feed relationship marketing terms. But the payback, the proposition, if you like, the payback is that there are more opportunities to increase sales, upsell, i.e., for example, if it was a £5,000 loan, persuade somebody to take out a larger loan, and also cross sales from one product to another. So in the case of banking, it would be current accounts and savings accounts, loans and mortgages and so on and so forth, home finance, insurance, etc. So the economics are: invest at the beginning. It does cost a bit more than the standard sort of businesses, but you do get this payback. And in the relationship marketing game, advocacy is where you can really reap the much larger profits. So, for example, a fully satisfied customer may recommend you, if they are an advocate, to 5 new customers. Now, those 5 new customers will come to you with very little intervention by yourself, so you haven't had to pay for the advertising and the other means of sales to actually acquire those customers. On the other hand, a dissatisfied customer will tell 3 times as many people. So maybe about 15 people will be told about your poor service or product. So the quality of experience, the customer engagement, the customer experience is extremely important, because the economics are very clear. If they are dissatisfied, then 3 times as many people may find out about your service in a negative way. And there are studies, mostly in the customer centre operations, that have said that 70% of complaints are actually due to poor communication skills, whether the interaction was via email, telephone or face-to-face, and not for technical reasons. So the minority of reasons were around the product or some technical part of delivery of the service. So it's worth thinking about those economics, about why your emotional intelligence is important, why everyone in the value chain in your business is key to making that customer feel that they really want to advocate your business. And you can see this in a lot of the really big successful brands.